Former featherweight champ Max Holloway wrote himself into the history books yet again at UFC Fight Night 197. His 5-round decision win over the incredibly resilient Yair Rodriguez saw him not only break new records, but extend old records he already had. Yair, who hadn't fought in 2 years, went to town with kicks early and often, but he simply couldn't slow the former champ down. Blessed began to work his boxing, and it quickly became a brutal slugfest of epic proportions, and the UFC records poured in. Holloway has landed 100 or more significant strikes in 13 separate fights. The next closest is 8, and 200 or more in 3 separate fights. And he's landed 2,848 significant strikes, over 1,000 more than the next closest, and 3,056 total strikes. And he still wants more. I have a win over the 155-pound champion, Charles Oliveira. We have Alex Volkanovski and stuff. I'm on the short list for Conor McGregor, declared Holloway. Tell him to hit my line. We're ready whenever. A third go-around with the champ Alexander Volkanovski seems like the obvious choice, as Holloway is the clear #1 contender. The trouble is that Volk has only faced Holloway and Brian Ortega in his last 3 fights, so the champ might want someone new. Holloway has a win over the recently crowned lightweight champ Charles Oliveira, but that was back in 2015, and the two have come leaps and bounds since then. That could be a brilliant fight, but that's ignoring the giant green elephant in the room. The fight everyone wants is the big money fight against Conor McGregor, who beat Holloway back in 2013. The revenge angle is a great selling point, and they're two of the most exciting fighters to ever enter the octagon. But there are 3 significant hurdles to overcome. The Irishman now fights at light and occasionally welterweight. He literally snapped his leg in half in July. And the most significant hurdle, the UFC president Dana White's preferences. I don't know what's next for Max, but it does make sense to see him and Volkanovski again, mused Uncle Dana. Conor's still hurt. To even talk about Conor is silly. In the co-main, Marcus Rogerio de Lima demolished Ben Rothwell in the first round, but all anyone could talk about was referee Herb Dean's dangerous officiating. De Lima had hurt Rothwell early, so Herb stepped in to wave it off. And then he didn't. De Lima kept firing. Dean backed off. Rothwell came too. Then De Lima backed off. It was a mess. Herb Dean has been with the UFC longer than any other referee and has long been considered the gold standard. Recent mistakes, though, have seen fighters take huge amounts of unnecessary damage, and Dana White has fired referees for less. Max Holloway's war with Yair Rodriguez rightfully won them both a $50K Fight of the Night bonus. Performance bonuses went to Chaos Williams for his 3rd-round stoppage, and Andrea Lee for forcing Cynthia Calvillo to wisely quit on the stool. At Bellator 271, the women's featherweight champ Chris Cyborg ran through Sinead Kavanagh with a first-round knockout. And in the co-main, heavyweight veteran Linton Vassell put a stop to the Terrell Fortune hype train with a split decision. As for Cyborg, the Brazilian bruiser has a familiar question ahead of her. Who's next? Unlike usual, though, Cyborg might have an answer in Kayla Harrison, the undefeated 2-time women's lightweight PFL champ and 2-time Olympic judo gold medalist, and she was cage-side. Thank you for coming. It was nice, Cyborg politely said. She was coming to visit my house. I hope she really liked it. Them's hardly fighting words, but can you blame her? Harrison hasn't lost a round in MMA. She's finished every opponent bar one. She's bigger, and her PFL contract ended with her last fight in which she put on yet another grappling showcase. It's the perfect storm, and the free agent is on the hunt. I've made it no secret that I want to go down as the greatest, reiterated Harrison. So in order to do that, you've got to beat the greatest, and she's one of those people. Thanks for watching, and remember, If you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.